They are not interested in giving up their control and power, however we define it. But they've also they tried making a deal with the Chinese people, which is you'll have a better standard of living and don't bother us about freedoms. And we are seeing some pushback. I'm unfortunately a little bit skeptical on how successful these are going to be. And what is it? The Chinese have an estimated 100,000 people whose job is to censor the internet. They track what's going on. Microblogging has been amazing, but people still, there's really limits on what people can do and do successfully. I also want to go back, though, to one thing. You mentioned the issue of opacity, and I think that it's really interesting when you look at the Chinese political transition, the process leading up to the transition, at the same time that we were having our presidential election, and we aren't always thrilled with the way our process unfolds, and some people aren't thrilled with the result of that process, but there was transparency. And in China, the man who was going to take over dropped out of sight for 10 days. I mean, nobody knew what was going on. And I think we have to temper any of our own analyses of what's taking place with recognizing that we don't know a whole lot still about what's going on in the Chinese political process, what factions are actually rising, who's fighting with whom. Somebody gets arrested and it shifts everybody's interpretation of what's going on behind the scenes. Dan and I have both agreed that the opacity in terms of China's military activities, its modernization, how much it's spending is also a serious problem for all of us, because it's very difficult to determine what intent is if we aren't completely sure of capabilities. And there's been a lot of questions about that.